The cloth was still, silent, a relic wrapped in mystery, devotion, and centuries of awe. It was said to have touched the very body of Jesus Christ after his crucifixion, absorbing not just the form of man, but the weight of a sacrifice that changed the course of eternity. And now, after centuries of veneration and skepticism, something is stirring. The Shroud of Turin, housed quietly in a cathedral, has begun to whisper again, not in sound, but in revelation. Scientists have studied it, dismissed it, praised it, feared it. Believers have bowed before it. Skeptics have rolled their eyes. And yet, there it remains, unmoved, undestroyed, unexplainable. The image of a crucified man, inexplicably embedded in linen fibers, has become the silent witness of a miracle or the echo of one far greater. But why are so many afraid of this truth? In recent months, rumors have surfaced, whispers of statements made behind closed doors, secrets buried deep, and testimonies that never saw the light of day. One voice, however, dared to rise above the silence. A voice familiar not just in Hollywood, but in the heart of spiritual warfare. A man who once showed the world the passion now speaks again, not through film, but through revelation. He claims we're being lied to, not metaphorically, literally, about the shroud, about its true nature, about what it proves. But what if he's right? Imagine a world where the very cloth that wrapped Jesus after the crucifixion holds not only his image, but divine signature, light, energy, a burst of resurrection power captured in linen as no pigment or paint could replicate. Imagine it being real, tangible, scientific, provable. And imagine the impact that would have, not just on religion, but on everything. Science, culture, government, belief itself. And then ask yourself this: who benefits from hiding such a truth? Throughout history, every time humanity has approached a divine threshold, forces have emerged to push it back. The shroud is no exception. The deeper we dig, the more resistance we encounter. But now, things are changing. Fast. More scientists, historians, and theologians are risking their careers, reputations, and even safety to bring light to this cloth and what it might mean. Because if this cloth is what some believe it is, then it's not just a shroud. It's a message, a warning, a promise, and it might be speaking to you right now. Before we continue, we want to do something very special. In our next video, we'll be sending out a personal message to a few of our amazing viewers. If you would love to see your name and your city mentioned, share with thousands of people who, just like you, are seeking truth, light, and divine revelation. This is your moment. A small gesture, but one that brings joy and connection. Imagine being part of this journey, not just in spirit, but in name. Leave a like, comment your name and your city below, and maybe, just maybe, your name will shine in the next video like a light among many. We can't wait to pray for you and honor your presence here with us. Your voice matters. Now, back to the mystery. The question that lingers is no longer if the shroud is authentic. The real question is, why are they afraid of you knowing that it is? And just when you think you've heard it all, what comes next might change your understanding of everything. The truth doesn't vanish. It hides. And sometimes it is hidden as the world turns. Caught in the chaos of headlines and distractions, the Shroud of Turin rests quietly beneath layers of glass and time. But silence doesn't mean peace. Often it means control. And in the case of the sacred cloth, silence has been imposed, not chosen. It's not just the image of a crucified man that baffles scientists. It's how it was formed. The linen bears no pigment, no brushstrokes, no evidence of human artistry. The image is not soaked in the fabric, but rests only on the uppermost fibers, as if touched by light, not by hands. Some have called it radiation. Others say it is energy, beyond explanation. A burst, a flash, a moment etched into history not with ink, but with glory. And yet, the more we uncover, the louder the opposition becomes. Why? In 1988, 3 laboratories conducted carbon dating on a small corner of the shroud. Their conclusion? The fabric was medieval, from around 1260 to 1390. The world rejoiced, or rather, those who wanted the mystery silence did. For them, the shroud was just another artifact, a relic of the past, a myth debunked. But not everyone agreed, and the louder the celebration, the quieter the counter voices became. Years later, experts would raise troubling questions. What if the sample used in the test came from a patch, not the original linen? What if the very threads tested were not ancient, but part of a repair? What if the result were wrong? Suddenly, the cracks appeared, not in the cloth, but in the narrative. Independent researchers began examining the fibers. They found discrepancies, inconsistencies, evidence of contamination, and then something startling, signs of scorching and microfibers, unlike anything typical of medieval textiles. And the image itself? No explanation, no replication. Not even with modern lasers could it be reproduced exactly. But here's what's most alarming. Not what was found, but what was ignored. Multiple scientific studies, conducted quietly, away from media spotlight, revealed data suggesting that the cloth's origin could date back to the very time of Christ. And not only that, the image was unlike any form of art or imprint ever seen, as if it had been created in a moment of divine release, as if something impossible had happened, and the cloth was the only witness. And still, silence. Why would anyone want to suppress such a discovery? What force is powerful enough to make the world look away from something so divine, so undeniable? Some point to religious institutions, others to academic pride, still others to global systems built on control and disbelief. Because if the shroud were proven authentic, it wouldn't just confirm a miracle, it would demand a response. It would force the world to choose between doubt and faith, between science and mystery, between the temporal and the eternal. There are whispers that documents exist, hidden in the depths of the Vatican, reports, letters, even testimonies from visionaries and saints never made public. Could these hidden hands be shaping our understanding, keeping us in spiritual suspense? And then there are the visions, stories of the Virgin Mary, of messages about times of trial, of coming truth, of light piercing darkness. Some believe the shroud is part of that message, a physical echo of divine warning and love, meant to surface at the appointed hour. Could that hour be now? The world feels like it is trembling, shaking, searching, and in the middle of this trembling stands a silent linen cloth, holding an image that refuses to fade. A face, a body, wounds, blood, peace, and something else, something radiant, untouched by time. We are only beginning to understand its meaning. But every step forward seems to pull us deeper into a battle between truth and suppression, light and shadow. In the next chapter, we will uncover testimonies never before heard, and a moment in history that may hold the key to why the shroud vanished, then reappeared. But what happened during those missing centuries? For centuries, the Shroud of Turin disappeared from history, as if the earth itself had swallowed it to protect it from unworthy hands. One moment, it was there, in Edessa, guarded, venerated, hidden behind a veil of sacred secrecy. The next, it vanished. No war claimed it. No fire destroyed it. No thief confessed to stealing it. It simply dissolved into silence. And in its place, only rumors remained. Whispers carried by monks across deserts. Tales passed from father to son. Dreams of light, cloth, and a face no one could forget. Where did it go? Some believe it was hidden by those who knew its power. Others suggest it was smuggled out of empires in collapse, protected not by kings, but by faithful hearts who understood the cost of truth. There are scrolls that speak of a holy cloth spirited away from Edessa before its fall, taken to Constantinople and kept in the depths of the imperial palace. There are records of knights who describe seeing a linen bearing the image of the Lord. And then in 1204, during the infamous Fourth Crusade, the trail grows cold once more. Again, it vanishes. This is not coincidence. This is protection. The shroud has always been more than fabric. It is a battleground, not of swords or bullets, but a belief. To accept it is a surrender to a mystery science cannot decode. To reject it is to deny what your soul already knows. There are scholars who say that during these vanishing years, secret orders were entrusted with its safety. Some point to the Knights Templar, not just as warriors, but as guardians of divine artifacts. Documents in their trial suggest they worship a mysterious image of a bearded man. Could it have been a shroud? And if so, what did they know? Why were they hunted, silenced, erased? Every time the shroud surfaces in history, upheaval follows. Nations fall. Dogmas are challenged. Souls awaken. Its reappearances are not random, they are timed, precise, as if responding to a greater hand, moving the pieces of humanity's spiritual chessboard. And then, after centuries of disappearance, the shroud is seen again, this time in France. The year is 1353. A noble knight presents it to a small church in Lire. There is no fanfare, no proclamation, just awe, but the church hesitates. Questions arise. Is it real? Where did it come from? Who gave it to you? No answers, only mystery, and a cloth that continues to pulse with the impossible. But make no mistake, this was no rediscovery. It was a return, as if the shroud had waited for the world to be ready, or perhaps for it to be desperate enough to see. Through the centuries, popes, scientists, artists, and skeptics would stand before it. Some would kneel, others would scoff. But no one would walk away unchanged, because something stirs within when you look at that face. A stillness, a sorrow, a radiance, and above all, a question. Why do I feel like he's looking back at me? The answer lies not just in the cloth, but in what it endured. Fire, war, exile, rejection, and still it remains. And perhaps that's a message. Resurrection doesn't come without suffering. Light doesn't come without darkness. And truth always survives the flames. In the next chapter, we will reveal how a sudden burst of energy, millions of watts in a fraction of a second, may have left the image of Christ forever imprinted in the fibers of the shroud. A discovery that could shake not just the church, but the very foundations of science. There are moments in time that change everything, moments that echo through centuries not with noise, but with light. The Shroud of Turin may have captured such a moment. For decades, scientists have tried to explain how the image on the shroud came to be. No brush, no ink, no human hand could have painted such perfection, such symmetry, such sacred precision. But it's not just the image, it's how it's embedded into the fabric, a mere surface contact, microscopic, shallow, and yet eternal. Then came a theory, one that shook even the most skeptical minds. An Italian team of nuclear physicists, after years of research, discovered that to reproduce anything remotely similar to the image on the shroud, you'd need a burst of radiation, an explosion of light so intense, it would have to release millions of watts in less than a billionth of a second. But here's the part they couldn't explain. No machine on Earth can produce such energy without destroying everything in its path. And yet, the cloth remains intact, fragile but untouched. It's as if the light came from within the body it wrapped, a light not of this world. The theory is simple, but the implications are not. The image on the shroud was created in the very moment of resurrection. Not just a spiritual transformation, but a literal explosion of divine energy, imprinted onto cloth like a heavenly signature. No pigment, no artist, just glory. Think of it. The exact instant Christ's spirit returned to his body, defeating death and sin, the energy of that moment flashed outward, embedding itself into the linen. The shroud became a canvas not of art, but of resurrection itself, the first photograph of the divine. And yet, this discovery has been met with resistance, even ridicule. Why? Because if this theory is true, then the resurrection is no longer just a matter of faith. It becomes a scientific event, documented, imprinted, eternal. And if Christ truly rose, if death was truly defeated, then the world is not as it seems. Life is not random. Suffering is not pointless. And you were made for something so much greater than you can imagine. This revelation is not meant to divide. It's meant to awaken, to remind us that even in our darkest moments, even in grief, pain, or doubt, light breaks through. Resurrection isn't just a story, it's a promise. And maybe, just maybe, it has already reached you. If your heart has felt something stir, even gently, if a whispered truth has touched you in this moment, write amen in the comments. Not for us, not for the algorithm, but as a personal act of faith, a prayer typed with hope. Let your amen be a light, a signal, a declaration that you are open to the divine, ready to receive peace, healing, and understanding. We will pray over every single name together, because this journey isn't just about discovering facts. It's about experiencing grace. The shroud is more than a mystery. It's a mirror, and when we look into it, we don't just see a crucified man. We see a reflection of what love is willing to endure to reach us. In the next chapter, we'll uncover why so many institutions, religious and scientific alike, seem determined to suppress this truth. Who benefits from keeping the resurrection in the realm of doubt? And what happens when the light becomes impossible to ignore? If the shroud proves a resurrection, then why are the most powerful institutions in the world silent? The Vatican, the scientific elite, cultural gatekeepers. Their silence isn't ignorance. It's strategy. Because if the shroud is real, the story of humanity changes forever. Faith becomes fact. Hope becomes history. Jesus is no longer just a belief. He becomes evidence. And evidence demands action. The church for centuries has guarded the shroud but never declared it authentic. Why? Out of caution or out of fear? Declaring it real would shatter theological neutrality. It would force the world to choose between belief and denial, between surrender and pride. Some say the silence is to protect souls from fanaticism. Others believe it protects power. What if the resurrection is scientifically undeniable? What if the cloth holds data no lab can explain? And what if we've been lied to deliberately? Radiocarbon dating results from 1988 said the shroud was medieval, but newer studies prove that sample was from a repaired section, not the original fabric. Other tests reveal the presence of blood, real human blood, with high levels of bilirubin, consistent with torture. The wounds match Roman crucifixion. The anatomy, the positioning, the injuries, everything aligns, but the public isn't told. The truth is buried beneath layers of politics, fear, and pride. Because once resurrection becomes real, everything else is exposed. Death, evil, deception. The entire foundation of secular power crumbles. Institutions that thrive on confusion and spiritual numbness lose their grip. They need doubt to keep control. But doubt is losing ground. More scientists are stepping forward. More evidence is rising. And with every revelation, the shroud glows brighter, not in gold or light, but in truth. And truth is the most dangerous force of all. In the next chapter, we will witness how the shroud defies even the most advanced technology, and how its impossible features are pointing directly to something divine. Are we truly ready for what it means? There are mysteries that confuse, others that inspire. But the image on the Shroud of Turin does something different. It disarms. It dismantles logic, not by contradicting it, but by outshining it. For over a century, scientists have tried to replicate the image on the shroud. Artists have attempted to mimic it. Engineers have scanned it, modeled it, processed it with digital filters. Yet no one, not even with lasers, radiation sources, or 3D mapping, has succeeded in reproducing its unique characteristics. The face, the wounds, the shadow of agony and glory interlaced. It isn't painted. It isn't printed. It isn't burned. It's as if it was lifted onto the fabric by an invisible hand. And here's the detail that stuns the experts. The image only appears on the outermost fibers of the cloth, the surface. Nothing penetrates beneath. This depth, just 200 nanometers, has never been achieved with any known technique, not even today. One scientist described it as a controlled explosion of light. Another called it a divine photographic moment. But all agree on one thing. It shouldn't exist. Yet it does. And this impossibility leads to a bigger question. What else have we considered impossible simply because we cannot explain it? The shroud is challenging the very boundaries of what we believe to be real. It dares us to believe in something higher, not by appealing to emotion, but by defying science itself. Every test, every fiber, every pixel screams. This is not man-made. Some have speculated that what the shroud captured was not just a resurrection, but a transformation of physics, a moment where divine light collided with human matter, and heaven left a fingerprint on earth. And here you are, reading, watching, listening. This is no accident. You were meant to hear this message. This story is not just about a cloth. It's about a choice. Yours. You can stay in the comfort of what's explainable, or you can step into a truth that demands faith, courage, and awe. If you feel this journey is awakening something inside of you, if your heart is whispering yes, then join us. Leave a like and subscribe to this channel. Not for algorithms, not for numbers, but because together we are part of something greater, a community of seekers, believers, and truth bearers. Your presence here matters. And by joining us, you help this message reach others, those who need hope, who need light, who are waiting for something real. And trust me, what's coming next will take your breath away. In the next chapter, we will uncover a final mystery, a message buried in prophecy, protected for centuries and now, finally, ready to be revealed. For centuries, it was hidden in plain sight, a relic, a mystery, a debate. But the Shroud of Turin was never just a piece of linen. It was a message. And now, as our world trembles beneath the weight of confusion, division, and doubt, that message is becoming clearer. Because this cloth doesn't only whisper the past, it warns of the future. There are ancient texts, apocryphal gospels, visions from saints and mystics. And in them, scattered across time, is a recurring theme, a sign left behind. A sign that will resurface in the time of great trial. A sign that will speak when words fail. That will shine when darkness seems final. The shroud, they said, would one day reveal not just who he was, but that he is coming back. This isn't just symbolic. It's prophetic. Consider the Virgin Mary's apparitions, Fatima, Akita, Garabandal, each with messages of repentance, warning, and a final hope. Many believe the shroud is part of that same divine preparation, a visible reminder of what was and what is to come. Some theologians now dare to speak the unspoken, that the cloth, with its unexplainable image, is not only evidence of the resurrection, but a mirror of Revelation itself. The image is not decaying. It resists time. It resists fire. It resists erasure. It waits. For what? Maybe for the world to finally open its eyes. Maybe for you. There's something sacred about the way you followed this journey. It means your heart is ready. Ready to question. Ready to believe. Ready to carry the light. The world will try to explain it away, to bury the truth beneath science, noise, and fear. But this moment is yours. A choice only you can make. If you believe Jesus rose from the dead, if you believe he is king, write it now. Boldly. Write, Jesus is a king in the comments. Not as a slogan, not as a trend, but as your truth. This is your moment of declaration. And there's more. This journey does not end here. In fact, it's only beginning. What you're about to discover in the next video could change the way you see your life, your purpose, and your future. Just click the video that's now appearing on your screen. One simple tap, and you step into the next part of this revelation. One that will go deeper, higher, closer to the heart of truth. We're not here to entertain. We're here to awaken. Because the shroud wasn't just preserved for scholars or saints. It was preserved for you. For now, let the light lead you. And remember, the truth can be hidden, but it can never be destroyed.